Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to another explainer, where we take complex texts and break them down so you can easily grasp the core concepts. Today, we're deconstructing a truly fascinating philosophical text by Su Shifeng, the founder of Life Chen Yuan. What we're looking at here is a highly structured roadmap for human existence, and it's categorized into four distinct pillars: joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. To really understand this philosophy, we've got to start at the absolute foundation. According to Xu Feng's framework, humans were intentionally designed by the greatest creator specifically to experience these four elevated states of being. It's not just a happy accident or a mere byproduct of living. Experiencing joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing is the literal design of human existence. Basically, if you're experiencing these things, you are actively fulfilling your intended purpose. Let's move to and see how this builds our agenda for today. First, we'll look at Xu Feng's core philosophy. Then, we'll walk through the four pillars individually: the path to joy, defining and attaining happiness, the essence of freedom, and the meaning of blessing. Finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up with the ultimate promise. Section 1, Shui Feng's core philosophy, the foundation of being. In a lot of cultures or belief systems, the relentless, active pursuit of your own personal joy and happiness can sometimes be framed as, well, kind of selfish or self-indulgent, right? But in Shui Feng's philosophy, it's the exact opposite. Pursuing these four states is actually defined as the central significance and the highest morality of human life. The text argues that by fully enjoying these states, a person naturally develops a profound love for life and nature, a deep gratitude for others, and ultimately cultivates true human morality. It completely flips the script. Your personal fulfillment is essentially your moral duty. Section 2, the path to joy, opening the mind. So, how is joy defined here? It's a happy, pleasant, refreshing, and bright mood. But the absolutely crucial part is the second half. It requires the total absence of worry about trifles, gloominess, anxiety, or fear. The text posits joy as the complete eradication of those daily, nagging anxieties that constantly weigh us down. It's not just about feeling good for a moment. It's the profound lightness of being totally unburdened by everyday stresses. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what Su Feng is getting at. He doesn't just leave us with a dry, clinical definition. He uses incredibly vivid, poetic imagery to make the concept tangible. The warmth of spring, a limpid stream, sunshine, flying birds. These are universally understood symbols of effortless, natural lightness. This is precisely what the state of joy is supposed to feel like internally. So how do we actually get there? The text lays out an effective way to attain joy, and it requires a highly structured outward expansion of trust. You start by opening your mind to the divine or the creator without reservation. Then you expand that openness to your close circle of relatives and friends. Finally, you open your mind completely to society as a whole. This radical vulnerability and total transparency is the exact mechanism that eradicates anxiety and unlocks true joy. Section 3, defining and attaining happiness. Contentment and harmony. Now, you might be wondering, wait, didn't we just cover happiness? Well, the Life Chen Yuan framework actually distinguishes happiness as a completely separate pillar from joy. While joy was all about a bright mood and lacking anxiety, happiness focuses heavily on deep satisfaction, comfort, and sweetness. Notice the negative traits that must be eliminated here: trouble, suffering, complaint, and hatred. If joy is the absence of fear, happiness is the absence of bitterness. It's a profound sense of inner peace where the urge to complain or harbor hatred simply doesn't exist anymore. Let's slow down for a second and appreciate the metaphorical shift here. We see dragons and phoenixes presenting auspiciousness and a heavy focus on great harmony. These are powerful symbols of deep cosmic balance, alignment, and rich sensory fulfillment. Happiness is framed as a deeply rooted state of total, harmonious existence. So the crucial point is that unlike the emotional openness required for joy, the method to attain happiness is incredibly practical and behavioral. To find this harmony, the text says you must be content with your own lot, unselfish, free of ego, impartial, and diligent. It's basically a checklist of humility and hard work designed to remove the friction of ego and envy, allowing you to naturally settle into the state of true happiness. Section 4, the essence of freedom, release from bondage. In Western culture, we often think of freedom in purely political or physical terms, right? But here it takes on an all encompassing meaning. This definition is utterly exhaustive. It encompasses liberation from worldly concerns like debt, fame, and gain, alongside massive existential liberations, freedom from the cycle of birth and death, honor and disgrace. It is a total, complete untethering from the physical and social constructs that typically bind human beings. The text elaborates that true freedom is a state where one is unrestrained and follows predestined relations. And it's a fascinating paradox, really. Freedom here isn't about fighting the universe to assert your own will. It's about flowing so perfectly and naturally with the universe's paths that you experience absolutely zero friction. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the surprising mix Xu prescribes to achieve this massive cosmic freedom. On one hand, you have deep spiritual reverence for the Creator and Buddhas. But right next to that, you have very grounded, practical civic duties, adherence to laws, regulations, and making absolutely sure you are free of financial debts. The philosophy beautifully links the mundane act of paying your bills and following the speed limit to the highest spiritual liberation. You literally cannot be spiritually free if you're tangled up in worldly debts and legal troubles. Section 5. The meaning of blessing. Serenity and wisdom. Blessing is described as serenity, auspiciousness, elegance, and contentment. But the real kicker is the second half, reaching all things with consciousness and mastering everything with wisdom. This goes way beyond just feeling good. This is about an elevated state of intellectual and spiritual mastery where your consciousness seamlessly connects with the world around you. I think we can all relate to this one, for sure. The philosophy specifically targets the exhaustion of modern bureaucratic life as the exact opposite of blessing. If you are drowning in official correspondence, disturbed by constant noise, and stressing over your future livelihood, you are entirely devoid of blessing. Blessing is positioned as the ultimate sanctuary of peace away from the modern grind. But how do you actually achieve this masterful state of serenity? Notice the contrast here. While the definition of blessing is highly complex and elevated, the method for attaining it is remarkably simple: unconditional giving and unselfish devotion. It relies entirely on selfless output. According to the text, the ultimate state of personal blessing is ironically achieved by completely forgetting oneself and giving entirely to others. Section 6. The ultimate promise, bringing it all together. So, how do all these meticulously defined pillars bring everything together into a single life goal? Well, here is the ultimate synthesis. Xu asserts that if you practice these deeply structured methods, opening your mind, shedding your ego, clearing your debts, and giving unconditionally, this elevated existence will most surely belong to you if you simply persevere and persist. It's presented as an almost mechanical certainty. It's a guarantee. And that brings us to the end of our breakdown. Looking at this highly structured pursuit of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing, you really have to ask yourself, could you apply these specific, rigorous definitions and methods to your own daily routine? Could something as practical as clearing a debt or practicing unconditional giving unlock a completely new level of peace for you? It's a profoundly interesting framework to consider. Thank you so much for walking through this explainer with me, and keep your mind open to the pursuit.